Good evening, my little angels. Sọ Dừa is one of the most significant tales in the trove of Vietnamese folklore. Through the character Sọ Dừa, whose name means coconut shell, referring to the hard exterior of a coconut that protects the flesh and water inside. The story conveys reflections of the feelings of self-doubt and insecurity that stem from physical imperfections, a natural and common concern for many of us. It also highlights the struggles we face when trying to live with and overcome barriers to assert ourselves in society. Let's listen to this story together. The Tale of Sọ Dừa. Once upon a time, there was a poor peasant couple who worked as hired laborers for a wealthy landlord. Though they were kind-hearted and hard-working, they were over 50 years old and still childless. One day, the wife went into the forest to gather firewood. The scorching sun made her very thirsty. Fortune smiled upon her as she spotted a coconut shell full of rainwater beneath a large tree. She quickly lifted the shell to her lips and drank the water. Afterwards, she returned home and soon discovered she was pregnant. Not long after, her husband passed away. When it came time for her to give birth, she delivered a strange child, lambless, round, and rolling like a coconut. Overcome with sorrow, the mother considered abandoning the baby. But to her astonishment, the little one spoke, "Mother, don't throw me away. I am a person. Please don't forsake me." Overwhelmed with compassion, she decided to keep him and named him Sọ Dừa. As Sọ Dừa grew older, he remained drowned and lambless, unable to do much to help his mother. She was deeply saddened. Understanding her worry, Sọ Dừa asked his mother to let him tend cattle for the landlord. When the landlord heard of Sọ Dừa, he hesitated, but thinking that creature like him could consume little food and require a minimal wage, he agreed. Unexpectedly, Sọ Dừa proved himself an excellent herder. Every day, he rode along with the cattle to the fields and back. The herd grew plump, and the landlord was delighted. During harvest season, all the servants were busy in the fields. The landlord, in turn, tasked his 3 daughters with bringing meals to Sọ Dừa. The 2 elder daughters, vain and cruel, despised him and treated him harshly. Only the youngest, kind-hearted by nature, showed him kindness and treated him with care. One day, it was the youngest daughter's turn to deliver his meal. When she reached the foothills, she was stopped in her tracks by the sound of a melodic flute. Puzzled, she tiptoed closer and caught sight of a handsome young man reclining on a pink hammock, skillfully played the flute as the cattle grazed nearby. However, as she approached, the scene vanished, leaving Sọ Dừa rolling in the grass. After witnessing this several times, the youngest daughter realized the flute player and Sọ Dừa were the same. She grew fond of him, her heart melting at his inner beauty. As Sọ Dür's term of service ended, he returned home and urged his mother to propose marriage to the landlord's daughter. His mother was astonished at the request, but as Sọ Dừa pleaded incessantly, she relented. When the mother appeared at the landlord's estate with her marriage proposal, the landlord sneered. "If you want to marry my daughter, bring me a jar of glutinous rice and gold coins, 10 rolls of brocade silk, 10 fat pigs, 10 jars of fine rice wine, and then we'll talk." Dejected, Sọ Dừa mother returned home, convinced the request was impossible. But to her amazement, on the appointed day, their house was magically filled with all the required gifts, along with the servants who appeared out of nowhere, ready to carry the offering to the landlord's home. The landlord, blinking in bewilderment at the lavish dowry, summoned his 3 daughters for their choice. The elder 2 daughters wrinkled their noses in contempt and stormed away, dismissing the idea of marrying such an ugly creature. Only the youngest daughter, lowering her head modestly, shyly expressed her acceptance. The wedding celebration that followed was grand and bustling. Servants hurried about, and everyone marveled at the sumptuous feast. During the bridal procession, no one saw Sọ Dừa in his usual form. To everyone's surprise, there stood a handsome and elegant young man, arm in arm with the landlord's youngest daughter. The guests were in awe and full of joy for the couple. Yet the 2 elder daughters seethed with jealousy and regret deep within their hearts. From that day on, Sọ Dừa and his wife lived happily together. Not only was he kind-hearted, but he was also intelligent and studious. He spent days and nights immersing himself in books. Before long, during the next imperial examination, Sọ Dừa achieved his place and was proclaimed valedictorian. After serving as an officer for some time, the king entrusted him with an important diplomatic mission abroad. Before leaving, Sọ Dừa gave his wife a flint, a knife, and 2 chicken eggs, instructed her to keep them on hand for protection. Consumed by jealousy and envy, the 2 elder sisters harbored ill intentions, determined to harm their younger sister in hopes of taking her place as the valedictorian's wife. Seizing the opportunity during his absence, the 2 sisters invited the youngest to row out to sea with them. There, they deceived her and cruelly pushed her into the water. The youngest daughter was swallowed whole by a giant fish. However, with the knife her husband had given her, she was able to cut her way out of the fish's belly, freeing herself. She drifted to a remote island when she survived by striking the flint to make fire and roasting the fish for food. Not long afterwards, the 2 chicken eggs hatched into a pair of beauty chickens who became her companions on the island. One day, a ship was passing by the island. Spotting the ship, the rooster crowed loudly, "Cock-a-doodle-doo, bring my mistress back to the valedictorian's home." Startled, the sailors guided the ship toward the south. Amazingly, they found the valedictorian's wife stranded on the island. She was rescued and, to her great joy, reunited with her husband. Overwhelmed with emotion, the couple cried tears of happiness. The valedictorian brought his wife back home and, in celebration, hosted a grand feast, inviting family and neighbors. However, he kept his wife hidden inside their home, not revealing her presence to anyone. The 2 elder sisters, unaware of the reunion, saw the celebration and secretly rejoiced, believing their plan had succeeded. They vied with one another to tell sorrowful tales of their younger sister's tragic fate, pretending to grieve deeply for her. Sọ Dừa listened silently, waiting until the feast ended. Finally, he called for his wife to come out. Upon seeing their younger sister alive and well, the two elder sisters were overwhelmed with shame. They hurriedly left the celebration and fled the village to avoid the humiliation. Unlike many other folktales, Sọ Dừa doesn't feature divine intervention from fairies or magical beings to help the protagonist. Although Sọ Dừa possesses some mystical abilities, through how our ancestors crafted this story, they expressed a deep wish for individuals with imperfections or setbacks to have the inner strength and courage to overcome their challenges on their own. And these capabilities, they believed, are cultivated not through boastful actions, but rather through quiet diligence and perseverance. That's it for today's story time. I wish my little angels a peaceful and restful sleep. I kiss you long on your forehead. See you again next time.